Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession on the world's #1 chiropractic podcast. Before we dive into this powerful episode, please remember to subscribe to our channels and give us a 5-star rating on iTunes to continue hustling. This episode is brought to you by Peach State Payments, ethical processing, more profit, less stress. Chiro HD, more than an EHR, practice management simplified. The Chiro Speaking Company, attract, educate, and convert. Chiro Spring, cloud-based, user-friendly software with all the essential features chiropractors need. OmniWave, redefining comfort and acoustic wave technology. Chiro Health USA, Chiro Script AI, Chiro Moguls, Pure Chiro Notes, 5-Star Forge, Titronics, Sherman College of Chiropractic, Life Chiropractic College West, and the IFCO. Let's hustle.
Hey guys, welcome to episode 727 of the Chiro Hustle podcast. I'm your producer, Luke Millette. Here's your host, James Chester.
So today we have the opportunity of interviewing Dr. Marc Hudson. If you want to hear our conversation on Chiro Europe and his group Kick-Ass Coaching, stay tuned for the full episode. Welcome back. This is another episode of the Chiro Hustle podcast. Today I have Marc Hudson coming on from Spain. Really inspired by this man. He's doing a big movement over across the pond, as we call it. It's called Chiro Europe. We're going to hit some topics today. Namely, Chiro Europe is a big topic that we're going to be talking about. Making a stand as a chiropractor, chiropractic helping heal people, and breaking the cycle of restriction from fear. I think a lot of people are going to walk away from today's interview with a lot more understanding of what this profession can do. He also runs a group called Kick-Ass Coaching. So I want him to talk about that. And Marc is an American practicing abroad in Spain. And I think it's going to be a major takeaway for you guys to learn about what he has done over the past 30 years. So you might want to take out your pen and take some notes or your digital notepad so you can get the takeaways from today's interview. Plus, he's built an amazing referral practice over there. And I want him to share with you guys about the keys to making more money as a chiropractor. But before we get into his story, I'm going to let you know our big why. Why do we do what we do at Chiro Hustle? Well, first things first is protecting freedom of speech. We know what it's like to be traffic throttled and censored. We'd never do that to you. We also believe in medical freedom and family health freedom. If you need guidance with any of this stuff, reach out to a chiropractor in your city or neighborhood. We also believe in protecting B.J. Palmer's last written words. They're called the Sacred Trust. If you don't know what that is, go to the show notes and click on that link. I don't care if you've been practicing for 30 years. Read that. You're going to learn more about chiropractic and possibly fall back in love with this amazing profession. We also support subluxation-based chiropractic. I know I shouldn't have to say that, but they are removing that from a lot of the education out there. So if you have a chiropractic student in your life or a new grad that's lost their way possibly or doesn't know their way, share this show with them. Lastly, we believe in innate intelligence, universal intelligence, and the educated intelligence. We believe that when man or woman, the physical gets adjusted, it connects them to man or woman, the spiritual, which creates the educated intelligence. With that, this is Dr. Marc Hudson, episode 727 of the Chiro Hustle podcast. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. It rolls off your tongue very fluidly and smoothly. You've done this before. You're good at your job.
Hey man, thank you. I do believe in everything that we say. And if people just listen to that first 2.5 minutes, they're going to walk away and say, damn, I need to listen to this every week.
Good.
And I was telling you before the interview, we drop every Monday and Thursday. So if you guys are not on the Chiro Hustle pathway, go to chirohustle.com and subscribe, like, listen, share. Marc, thanks for being on, man.
Thank you for having me.
Transition to you now. Your why. I'm very curious. Why chiropractic and how did you get into this amazing profession?
So I was a chiropractic patient, hadn't heard of chiropractic, had a sports injury, went and saw a chiropractor practicing illegally out of his house. He just graduated from school. He was waiting for his license to come from another state. I saw him 2 times. He did this is after 6 months of failed physical therapy and rehab and all the rest of it. And he didn't even touch my injured part, which was a broken shoulder. and did some weird stuff with my neck, and my arm started moving again. So I had a very, very strong sense of the miracles of chiropractic with no education at all whatsoever. Then, long story short, my wife was pregnant with our first child, developed a sciatica, and in about 5 months was told by her obstetrician that she would have to be in a wheelchair for the rest of the pregnancy. And I insisted that she go see a chiropractor. She very, very reluctantly went. Again, had miracle results. And then, so I was living in Dallas at the time, and I was a judo player, and I would go to the student outpatient clinic, and I had my clinician there, and it would typically take them about an hour to get signed off on the paperwork. So I would go there, and I was lying face down on the table, and I'd typically fall asleep, take a little nap while I was there, right? And so one day I'm there, I'm on the table, and I turn my head to the left, and I look up on the wall, and there's this poster that says, "Have you thought about studying chiropractic?" Right? And so I went back to sleep, and then the guy came in, and I said, "Can you make a living doing this?" And he said, "Yeah." And I said, "Can you make $50,000 a year doing this?" He said, "Yeah." And so then I signed up. So I already knew chiropractic worked. Went to school. I was an adult going back to school. I was working full time. I had a kid at the time, and another one that was born in the very first year. Had life experience, and my experience in school, I knew that I was being taught by people who didn't know what they were doing. And I absolutely shut down emotionally and rejected everything that they were saying. Studied outside, you got to do your stuff to pass your classes, right? But I was there just to get that piece of paper, and they weren't going to poison my brain to the degree that I was wearing headphones in class, and not, going to sleep and all the rest of it, which is actually stupid. Later, another friend of mine, Joe Dispenza, I heard would go to class, listen to the class, do some kind of Joe Dispenza thing in his brain, and would remember everything and not study outside of hours. So I would completely do the opposite, which is completely ignore everything they were saying and then cram before exams. But neither here nor there. You learn more success strategies later on. But graduated from school, didn't know anything, knew that chiropractic worked, didn't respect the model that I'd been raised in while I was going to school. Desperate, like you said in our pre-interview, we're talking about student loan debt. I was 250 grand in debt. I got a young family. I need a job right now. So I'd gone to a seminar. I got a job offer from a guy in Spain. I'd lived in Spain as a child. My wife is half American, half English, so she'd also lived in both continents, and so we were sick of being in the States. Moved away. Got a job offer in Spain. It didn't work at all. The guy was absolutely whack job psycho, and good adjuster, but absolutely horrendous business owner. So that didn't work. Lasted 4 months, and then I'm out of a job. I got all this debt. I got this family I got to feed. I got to make money now, and so moved to an island in the Mediterranean called Majorca. And within under a year of graduation, less than a year of graduation, I'd open up my practice, and again, didn't know what I was doing, but I'm pushing. I'm desperate. I'm hungry. I've got to do things. So bring in a lot of new patients, but didn't know how to do anything with them. Wasn't a good adjuster, et cetera, et cetera. And sort of floundered with that for about 2 years. And then I went to a seminar, got turned on there, and met some people who later became mentors of mine. And the numbers of people that they were seeing per week was just absolutely mind-boggling to me. I'm talking about approaching 1,000 visits a week. And so I would visit their practices. I would see if what they were saying from the stage is what they actually delivered in person. And most of them, yes, that was true. Some of them, no. But you take the good with the bad, or the bad with the good. And these became my inspired teachers. And I just, one of the things they said was just do what we tell you to do, and you'll be successful as well. And they were, I'm looking at your hat, expect miracles. That was very much the culture that I grew up in. And so the big thing that sort of stands out for me is I'm going to these seminars and I hear about this mission trip that's happening in Panama, right? That was being led by Dick Santo and Jim Sigafus. And I went there and they're just coming back and they're talking about these, crazy, crazy, crazy stories. And so in early '98, I went on that one of those missions, and I'm an incompetent, low volume, don't know how to adjust, don't know how to communicate chiropractor, hard worker, willing to do the work, but just didn't know what I was doing. And I'm in this large, anyway, so long story short, miracle adjustment, paralyzed baby who'd been sent home to die, who was paralyzed for 9 months, single adjustment, baby comes back to life, right? And so it just absolutely shifted everything for me, because here I am dealing in Spain in my practice at home with people who are looking for some kind of relief from low back and neck pain or better sports performance like that. And then we compare that to paralyzed babies coming back to life, and it's a completely different game. And so from a single adjustment from an incompetent chiropractor. And so I just dissected that and obsessed on it and tried to break things down. And what I identified as working there was the size of the message that was being delivered at the time, coming from Jim Sigafus and Dick Santo, through the people that were getting on TV and radio and all that sort of stuff. That, and also the insane energy that was in the adjusting spectrums where we were, right? So that particular adjustment with that baby happened in a like a sports arena, right? Basketball court with several thousand people waiting for chiropractors, and the numbers were real numbers, because they had a team of about 20 people per chiropractor following them around, signing people in with their social security numbers. So it's not your usual chiropractic bullshit numbers. It was real numbers, and it was insane. It was just like nuts. And I'm trying to think, it's like, how can this baby come back to life from this one push? Pinky on atlas, left atlas, pinky thrust on left atlas, and this baby starts moving. Now, long story. I went back 6 years later, took my family that time, and I go into the same place, the same basketball court, and this woman looks at me and she starts screaming. She says, "It's him! It's him! It's him!" And I'm like, "It wasn't me! It wasn't me! It wasn't me!" Right? And then she turns and she points at this 6-year-old kid who's playing basketball and says, "That's my son. That's my son. That's my son." It's the same kid that I adjusted, right? And it was wonderful reinforcement. However, I didn't need it because I was already there, right? It was just a beautiful thing to experience at that time. But so anyway, so I came back from that first trip to Panama, and it's like, what was the difference? What was the difference? And to me, it was the energy. It was the energy about it. It was the Jim Sigafus thing. It was it was that intensity. It was that focus. It was that level of communication. And it's also that sitting in the question, the paradigm, the model that came from Sid Williams of, we're adjusting people and miracle healings are happening. And my practice went from, at that time, 22.1 visits a day, right? Because I like stats. So I work a 4-day week, always work a 4-day week, 6 hours a day, more or less. And I would look at it, so I think, okay, Clarence Gonstead, right? Stories about Clarence Gonstead. Saw 600 visits a day, right? Yeah, but he was working 18 hours. Okay. So if he's seeing 600 visits a day, working 18 hours, if I only work 6, I should be able to see 200, right? Divide 18 by 3, it's 6 hours, it works out. And I did that. And I did more than that. And I did that for years and years and years. So how do you go from 22 visits a day to 200 plus visits a day? And it's just a change in what service you're offering, how you're communicating it, and zero advertising through that whole process, all internal referral. At the time, because I was doing European chiropractic politics, I was also not even offering prepay plans. So that means, when we got to our busiest point, which was 300 a day, like, it was 300 people who had to reach into their pocket and pay cash on the visit, horribly unwieldy, front desk stuff, working off of paper, like insane, like absolutely insane busyness. And sometimes there's 50 people in the reception area, right? And that was normal. That was not even, and people were willing to wait for that. And people were willing to, like, they were excited to be in that. Where does that come from? It comes from the energy that we bring to it. It comes from the size of the message that we're delivering. It comes from our faith and belief in the product, service, and idea, to paraphrase Jim Parker, right? That we're providing for people. And when we do that consistently over time, and we get that message in front of people, then it's going to motivate a community to say, hey, you got to go see that guy. They might not understand what it is that we're doing. They might think we're crazy. But it's like, there's something good happening there. And so analyzing that later through the years, what I come up with is that we are 21st century Shaw men and Shaw women disguised as doctors. We need the cultural disguise because of the expectations of society. And I'm not condoning it. I'm not saying that that's the way it should be or not. But when sick people are coming to you and they're saying, help me with my illness, with my disease. I'm talking about disease, not dis-ease, which is great as well. Not to put dis-ease down, but disease. Like, they got the cancers, they got the this, they got the that. They need the, all that stuff happening, right? And they're coming to you, and obviously we can't ethically say, I am going to heal you from this. But we also cannot, in my opinion, ethically say there's no way you're not going to heal from this, right? So I'm going to create an environment to the best of my ability that the force that I'm inputting in you, which is, in my case, a spinal adjustment, right? That the force that I'm inputting you is harmoniously received by your body, integrated, interpreted, and raises your vibrational level to a more, or changes or fine tunes your vibrational level to a way that is more in harmony for you, to where you can better express. And that may include healing from these conditions. It may include, like some people, we adjust, and as weird as this may sound, and as difficult for somebody who hasn't been versed in the philosophy of chiropractic, it may help them to die, right? And this is coming from the place of having adjusted people wanting to save their lives, right? And we don't have the power to do that. What we have the power to do is to adjust people, input a force in their bodies, let their body absorb that as harmoniously as possible, give them a context and an understanding, see that we believe in their ability to heal or to transform or to, all that sort of stuff. And then we let go. And we love them, and we don't undo the stuff with our mouth. Today, I adjusted today, right? And today I had a guy in the practice who's been a practice member for 25 years, and I adjusted his daughter through her passing. And the very last adjustment that we did on her was, it was a coaching day at my office. So I was coaching other chiropractors, and the father was there, and there were about 20 other chiropractors, and we all held hands in a circle they held hands, and I adjusted her, and then she went home and passed. And he had sent her in initially for me to save her. And I had very, very heart-to-heart communication with her, beautiful connection. And I said, you understand what this means? Because she was ready to let go. Her father wanted her saved. She was ready to let go. And so we will go through that. And this guy comes in 25 years later, right? Something worked there. Right? And we don't know how to put words to it. We don't know how to articulate it well. It's so much more complex, but it's about humans. It's about our hearts opening and seeing the humanity in all of us and the beauty in all of us, even in all the fucked up shit that's going on in the world right now, right? Even with all that stuff, but our hearts are open, and we love each other, and we're the same, and we're one. And when we vibrate in a more harmonious frequency, then good things happen, including in our physiology, and our physiologies can be reorganized in a way that sometimes disease processes go on vacation.
You made it to Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession on the world's #1 chiropractic podcast. This episode is brought to you by Peach State Payments, ethical processing, more profit, less stress. Chiro HD, more than an EHR, practice management simplified. The Chiro Speaking Company, attract, educate, and convert. Chiro Spring, cloud-based, user-friendly software with all the essential features chiropractors need. OmniWave, redefining comfort and acoustic wave technology. Chiro Health USA, ChiroScript AI, Chiro Moguls, Pure Chiro Notes, 5-Star Forge, Titronics, Sherman College of Chiropractic, Life Chiropractic College West, and the IFCO. Let's hustle. You know, as you share this with me, I get sparked with so many ideas and so many trail messages that I want to go on with you. I just want to share one.
I apologize because I'm always all over the place. Okay.
I just want to share one. And I do like really thank you for being able to share so much content so quickly. I probably could talk to you for 3 hours, man. We could probably have a 3-hour episode right now, but in brevity, I just want to share one thing that happened to me. As people know me, they know that I've done over 800 spinal screenings and I've scheduled over 11,000 people, which might not sound like a lot. It might not sound like a big
Sounds
number.
like a lot to me.
But
that's
when
why
you
you're coming to our stage.
But when you go and do this stuff, I don't get a chance to meet those people like you, like you came back 6 years later and met that little boy playing basketball. But I did meet this man. His name's Scott. And I asked if I could share his story. He's like, yeah, man, tell it. So I was working 7 years at this Alaska State Fair and he came back to me. He's like, dude, I've been by like 5 times over the past 5 fairs and you're always busy. So I don't stop and talk to you. He's like, but I want to tell you this. He's like, when you were over there and you did this event and you were out here working and you told me how many hours you had been standing out here and then you met me and you told me that if you just come in for this offer that you could help me. He goes, the thing I didn't tell you, and this is 7 years later, the thing I didn't tell you is that day I was going to kill myself. Yeah. My wife was about to divorce me and we're about to declare bankruptcy. He says, you sent me in to see Dr. Lloyd and he adjusted me like you told me he would. And it changed my life. He goes, just to let you know, quick update. I'm still with my wife. I'm still here. And we didn't do bankruptcy. So I just think when people start to understand the power of this is energy. And it is a power of belief that we have something that no one else has on planet Earth. And when people start to understand that it's a connection, it's not a mechanistic system and it's not a battle. It's doing the right thing. I was talking to this guy named Jay Kamarick and I was making my first documentary.
Beautiful video, by the way.
Beautiful. Yeah, I was making my first movie on chiropractic and Jay came up to me and he was like, hey man, I just want to tell you something. He's like, no matter what you're faced with, no matter who's coming at you, no matter what you might be thinking about yourself, he goes, I just want you to remember, just always do the right thing. And it coming from an old cowboy, it just like, boom, it hit me. And I just want to implore everybody out there that listens to what we're talking about today, no matter what they're dealing with, no matter where they're going, just keep on doing the right thing. And I think that kind of kicks us into the next topic, which is Chiro Europe. And I believe that you did that because you wanted to do the right thing. So maybe open up and talk to us a little bit about Chiro Europe and how long ago, how many times you've been doing it and what the real meaning of that movement is for you.
Okay, thanks. So right when I started going to these seminars in the States, I was going every 3 months, right? And at great expense. I didn't have the money to do it. It was a tremendous sacrifice. Had to close the practice, and I would take advantage of going there to go visit practices as well. So I'd be closed for about a week for a weekend seminar, and my practice just started immediately growing. And I was, I talked to my compatriots here, my colleagues here, and I'm like, you got to come, and they wouldn't come. Like they just wouldn't, pay the price, close their practices, short-sighted, because I'd rather see, a bunch of people in a reduced amount of time than not very many people spread out. And it's like, no, I can't not be there on Saturday, or I can't. It's like, dude, you're crazy. You can 10x this thing, and you're holding on so desperately to this small thing that you've got. And anyway, so it was obvious that they weren't going to go there. So it's like, okay, well, I got to bring speakers over here. And so first seminars that we did were single speakers, because it's the cheapest thing to do, right? And so I brought Jim Sigafus over. I bought, we did about 5 or 6 seminars that were single speaker seminars, Friday afternoon through Sunday morning, that kind of thing. Do that. And then, got the gumption up to do, okay, we're going to do a weekend with 3 speakers this time. It's like, great financial risk to myself, right? And then about 2 years later, it's like, we're growing to about 20 speakers, and it just took off from there. And we used to do it once a year, and now we do it twice a year. So we've been doing it twice a year probably for about 12 or 15 years, something like that. Built a chiropractic college out of it. Like a chiropractic college directly came out of my seminar. Raised $2.5 million there at the seminar for the school, to start the school. It was intense. I'm now banned from that school because the cycle's complete. I'm banned from six campuses. But it's just what happens. It's just the cycle of things. So what's Chiro Europe? Chiro Europe is a place that is connected to that vitalistic model, to the Sid Williams School of Chiropractic, if you were, that comes from that. And I will not let people on my stage to sell. I mean, people can sell, people can have stuff to do, but it's not about going there and hearing a 30-minute or an hour-long sales presentation or whatever it is. It is not about that. It is about creating the change, in providing the environment that creates change for chiropractors. And chiropractors are stuck. Chiropractors are stuck. They're either confused, they don't know what they're doing, they don't know how to adjust, they don't know how to communicate, they don't know how to be chiropractors. And most of them don't even realize that. They graduate from school thinking they're, like unbelievable, and they're really not. But they think they are. And so that creates a whole bunch of problems as well. They take whatever job is available to them. So then that brings them down from people who a lot of times are not ready or prepared to be bosses, like my first job experience. And then they just replicate that model. They either replicate the model from school, or they replicate the model from the person that they went to work for that they don't even like. And this cycle just continues like that. And so here I am seeing these guys from the stage that I just absolutely adore and love, who are telling me, what are the component pieces? Tell the chiropractic story, and then you adjust them. Okay, so you better get good at adjusting, and telling the chiropractic story. What does that mean? Well, a lot of times that was the doctor's report, or the half hour to health, or patient orientation, or whatever it is you want to call it, right? But it's just some kind of talk where you explain chiropractic principles, and then the public goes, oh, that's interesting. They don't go, oh, yes, now I'm not going to vaccinate my children. They go, that's interesting. At least he believes it, or she believes it. Seems inspiring. They're moderately clean. The place looks decent. I'll risk it. And then you get them in, you stay consistent to that message. You don't screw that up in your day-to-day communication, like tell them a great big story and then have very contradicting messages when they come to your space. So that, and then they get adjusted, they see results over time. You make it safe for them to be your referral sources. And then they'll send their friends and family in. You remove barriers to people coming in, and it's like, how long does it take you to adjust chiropractors? Question for chiropractors. How long does it take you to adjust your friends and family? Oh, it takes me, a minute, 2 minutes, whatever. It's like, well, how come you're scheduling 15-minute appointments? Oh, because that's what they expect. Or they will never come out flat out and say, I'm selling my time. And they won't say, because I'm afraid that if I do 2 minutes, I'll be completely rejected by my community. But it's like, what? You give your family and friends substandard care? It's like, why can't you do what you did in Panama or what you do on these mission trips or the care that you give your friends and family, why can't you replicate that in your office and make it attractive enough for a bunch of people to come in? And you got to make it easy for them to come in.
I got to ask you,
Yeah,
did you speak Spanish before you started practicing abroad in
I
Spain?
did. I did.
Okay. So that was helpful.
That was very helpful. Although I have very good friends who did not, you know, who have had incredibly successful practices. Um, Yeah. So yes, but I did, and I had lived in a bunch of different countries, so I was good with languages and accents. People think I'm from here when I speak Spanish. Um, but like I said, I know a bunch of people who don't speak Spanish at all, and I know a bunch of people who are from here who are suffering horribly.
Hmm.
But yes,
Well,
the
well,
language is important.
I know we're getting to the edge of our time together, and that really sucks. But I do want you to talk about kick-ass coaching because I think it's a powerful component as to what you do. And I think there's probably a lot of people out there that I'm going to go present to at your group that are in that group. Why do you do it, man?
Because the most important thing for me is seeing chiropractors like so Sid Williams, right? Used to go to like at Sid Williams be at his seminars, right? And he would walk up to somebody and he would say, somebody that's been to 20 years of seminars, right? And suddenly he'd walk up to him and he'd notice something about him. He'd say, "Son, I know you, don't I?" And it's like, yeah, I've been here 20 years and I've donated tons of money to your foundations and all the rest of it. Like, no, I know you. I know you. And before you were a boy and now you're a man. Okay. And it's not a gender specific thing. What it is you can see the change in people. You can see when people step into their power. You can see when people start believing in themselves. So, in a hierarchy that I teach in my coaching model, is we focus on business, on capacity, on communication, and on technique. And so that's like the low-hanging fruit that chiropractors go for, and they think that by focusing on that they will then become successful. And we focus on the top part of the hierarchy, which is loving chiropractic, first of all, okay, like actually being in love with the transformational um, possibilities or realities or what chiropractic does for people. So loving chiropractic, loving people, because there's a lot of people out there that really don't like people, right? So even you don't have to like them, but your heart has to be able to completely accept them on a soul to soul level, right? So loving chiropractic, loving people, and then loving yourself. Like there's a lot of chiropractors that really believe in chiropractic, but they don't believe in themselves as chiropractors. And so if you can do all the communication you work that you want, but if you're a boy and not a man, it's not going to work. And then when you make that shift, you can get people to the place where they're like completely inarticulate. It's like, oh, chiropractic good. But they really believe in it, like their gene, like they really integrate that in, and they can have completely full practices, right? Like unbelievable practices. So what we're about is seeing that happen in people. And so the models that we have are, I mean, I've done events at my house. I've done all different kinds of models of coaching. I've had, like a year program where people come to my house, once every 6 weeks kind of thing. That was very, very, very successful for the chiropractors, but it was super time and energy and cost and travel intensive. So what we do now is we do it mostly through Zoom. We have an event every 3 months for either Chiro Europe or a private event at my house or in my practice where chiropractors get together. But the whole point is to go through that process and then also to expand capacity. So because I saw 200 visits a day for 20 plus years, like I understand the mechanics of chiropractic capacity in an internal referral practice. So I understand what that takes. And most chiropractors now, like people consider 120 a week to be high volume now, which is insane, right? I can do that in 3 hours kind of thing, in a busy 3 hours. I don't do that regularly in 3 hours anymore. I used to. I don't now. I'm older. I got my excuses, right? I'm carrying extra weight around, right? Slows me down. But it's like so it's seeing people expand into that and seeing them flower as people. And then when that happens and they start building internal referral practices and they start being able to attract people in, give them good adjustments, not screw things up through undermining communication, right? It's that staying consistent. Then miracles happen in practice. So what we do with people is we do group Zoom calls. So I do a group program, a subscription service. You can get in whenever you want, and you can get out whenever you want. But it's a group subscription service, and we do about 2.5 calls a month. I say 2.5 because there's 2 every month, plus like 1 philosophy call every 6 weeks, kind of thing. So that, and then I have a one-on-one coaching program that's where we spend time again over Zoom, talking about what blockages people have, and it's confusion, it's fear of change, and then with experienced chiropractors, it's boredom or burnout, like they've been working in a model for 25 years that they hate, that they can do with their eyes closed. They're making a decent living. They're afraid of changing things, and they won't be making a decent living anymore. But they're also thinking about getting in chiropractic and building yogurt, soft serve yogurt franchises, because they just can't stand doing what they're doing, and they want to make some passive income, or they want to have multi-clinic, multi-associate practices where they haven't really dissected the mechanics of their practices yet, but they're just sick of it, and they want to get other people to do the heavy lifting and bring people in. And so we see that over and over and over again. And so mostly and I've got chiropractors that are coaching with us that have multi-clinics and lots of docs working for them, but we're coming from the place always of empowering the chiropractor. And most of the time that's going to be, a single or small number of docs. It's like, take it out to the maximum level that you can, and then work on expanding it laterally. Right? I was just listening to a podcast the other day with a guy who's like, my goal is to get to 9 chiropractors this year, and together we will be seeing 1,000 visits a week. It's like, I'd rather do that by myself. It's a lot easier than managing 8 other chiropractors. It's like, why would you want to do that? And yeah, it's a physical challenge and all that sort of stuff, but it's an unbelievably exciting thing. And then when you get good at that, you can start teaching people how to follow in that model.
Well, Mark, I love you, man. I appreciate you for having me over to speak at your event this year in May. Go check it out, chiroeurope.com. Go and attend. If you're looking for coaching, what's the web address for that?
Well, it's all on chiroeurope.com. They can see it all there.
So go to the big house.
Chiro Europe seminar Facebook group as well. Sorry.
Yeah. So go check out his groups, plug in, attend, come and have some fellowship, come and learn, come be a part of the community. I think that's the biggest takeaway for me. Is I went my first time and I demanded to myself, I have to be here. And I knocked on Mark's door digitally a handful of times until he answered. And I said, hey man, I want to come present. And, by God's grace, I get a chance to go do that. So I'm really excited to be a part of your community. I'm thankful to hear your story. I'm really thankful to hear how you're helping chiropractors. And honestly, I don't know how you have so much time to help so many people. So kudos to you for finding space and the moments to touch all the lives that you do.
It's the most important thing in my life. Helping chiropractors. Like, I see the miracles in practice, but it sounds terrible, but I got not bored with it. I got used to it. But chiropractors getting turned on really turns me on.
Well, I can see that.
Yeah.
And I thank you for being a guest on with me today. I know we're at the edge of our time together, but is there anything I didn't ask you that you want to share today?
No, I'm good. You did a good job. Thank you so much. And thank you for giving me the opportunity.
Well, I love this platform. It's all truth. And like I say in the intro, I never censor anybody. I know what it's like to be shadow banned and traffic throttled and censored. And I'd never do that to anybody else. And I love the fact that you're so open to sharing your passion for this beautiful profession. And we're definitely in alignment. And I'm really, really thankful for the opportunity to have some special time with you today.
Good. Thank you. Okay.
Well, I'll close out like I always do and tell everybody, you guys are just one story away. Keep hustling. I'll see you guys in the next episode. See you later, Doc. Thanks.
Ciao.
Bye for now. Thanks for listening to Chiro Hustle. Don't forget to subscribe and check back next week to continue hustling.